Okay, now the second type of factor we're going to do is grouping. And grouping uses the idea of common factors, which was the last podcast, twice, basically. And I'm going to put an extra step in here. Let me add just a page for a moment. Imagine you had a scenario that was 3a minus 4xa. You pull out, if you're going to factor that, you pull out the a, and then it's 3 minus 4x. That's the common factor we did last time.
Okay.
Well, what's going to happen now? Imagine if a wasn't a, but let's say it was x minus 1 minus 4x, x minus 1. Similar to a, this x minus 1 is like a factor. So I can pull out the whole thing, x minus 1. I can pull out this as common. I can pull it out. So it's x minus 1, and then I'm left with a 3 minus a 4x. So these things, these binomials can act like common factors too. Let's use that example down here. That's kind of the premise behind grouping. In doing this, we see, I'm going to look at these two and these two. Now, one of the keys if grouping is going to work is there's 4 terms. 4 terms. That's kind of a hint. Doesn't always happen that grouping works, but it's often the case. If I look at these two, I pull out a factor of 3, and I'm left with x plus 1. If I look at these two terms, I can pull out a factor of m, and I'm left with x plus 1. Now I think, are there any common factors now? Well, this and that are two common factors. Common factor. I pull it out like I did back here as a. I pull it out, and so I get x plus 1 times, if I take x plus 1 out, I'm left with 3. If I take x plus 1 as a factor out of here, I'm left with just m.
Okay, nice.
All right. Let's try the next one. Again, we'll break it up into 2 parts, here and here. What can I take out common from here, Mr. Cole?
You take the a out, right? So a add 3. And then the other one, take out the x, so add x, a add 3.
Okay.
All right.
And when we're doing grouping, these two things here that I'm highlighting have to be the same. If they're not the same, either it doesn't factor by grouping or you've done something wrong. So now I'm going to pull out these highlighted a plus 3s, which means that I'm left with an a plus x. All right. Now these ones, you should be trying, pause the podcast and try them yourselves, please. Okay, now that you're back, look in here, I can pull out a factor of x, which leaves me with a minus b. And on this one, we can pull out the m, and I'm left with a minus b. Again, here a minus b are common. I factor it out as well, and I'm left with x plus m.
This next one's strange. What are we doing here?
Well, let's keep these as such. If I pull out a b is common here, unless it's an a plus b. I need to get a plus b. I got minus a minus b. So what do these two terms have in common?
Okay.
They have a negative 1 in common. So if I pull out a negative 1, I'm left with positive a plus b. That is a really tricky one. But now I have a plus b is the same in both. Treat that as a common factor. I get a plus b times
b minus 1.
minus 1. You have to make sure these are the same. They're set to do their homework now.
I think so.